All righty.
That would be my first thing. So I'll take the role of the chair until we figure out who's gonna do that. Joe with us too, or Joe is not with us. So, as you all are aware, Mark has left the council and
I think Mark, he announced his retirement last council meeting.
yes, he did. So anyway, he was also our chair. Now, we could appoint Joe to that part again if you want to stay as a council member, but it can be one of the committee members too that are the chair. So
I don't think we have a forum, do we?
we have Galen with us as well. So.
There he is.
I was hoping Joe was gonna be with us. I thought Joe was gonna be with us tonight too, so that's,
Well, do you need a motion or
yeah, if one of you wants to make a motion or volunteer to be the chair going forward.
I'm done volunteering? I'll make a motion that
Or you punish the guy who's not here and say, Joe, you're the chair.
that's the idea. I'll nominate Joe Hall, I guess, being he's a councilman and take the place of Mark, who is also a councilman.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Carries. I will fill in while Joe is absent, I guess. If he, for some reason, calls in, we'll let him jump in.
Did,
Sure your mics
did-
are on. I'm not hearing
did
you.
we hear from Galen on that?
Yeah,
Yes,
Is that all right?
Yeah, no, that's fine with me.
Okay.
did say, are your mics on, gentlemen?
Yeah,
No.
maybe I wasn't close enough to it. Is it working now?
That's much better.
Yep.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
Even pull it really close to you, because that's,
Oh, yeah?
yep.
right. Well, I think we'll have a short meeting tonight because most of these items, I don't have a lot of new information on, but, first item we do have is open forum and there's nobody here, from the audience that would have any comments. So moving on to the next item after that is approve the minutes from the February meeting.
Move we approve the minutes.
Do I
Second.
have a sec?
No, I'll second it.
Okay, Galen was the second. All in
Oh.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are accepted. Okay, 2025 road bond updates. So don't have a huge amount there. I kind of put this in as a placeholder. Our regular city engineer, Joe DeBell, is out for a while, and so Dave Reese will be filling in for him for a while, and I apologize, I'm terrible with names. Bill Westerberg will be helping with this, for Widseth. So I left this as a placeholder in case they had something to plug in here, or maybe Jenny had something, and I don't really have anything myself at this point, other than to say, the road bond, we're looking at doing it in up to 3 different projects. And one of them we're gonna talk about next on the agenda. And that'll be some money that we had left, that we're not going to be spending on road maintenance, like patching and, crack sealing this year.
Mhm.
So, we thought that it'd be best to try to pare down some of those roads that are on the road bond. And so the 2 that we're gonna talk about are that. And so that might be a 24 project or a 25. We're not sure yet. We're working on that. The rest of the bond, we're gonna bust up into, the first year would be some simpler projects that don't need quite as much engineering. There's either not drainage or not as much, curb and gutter right away to purchase, things like that. So that'll be the first, bond that we're gonna do for 2025. And then the next one will be either in 26 or 27. And that would be the more complex projects. I think you guys are aware that we were looking at doing a roundabout here on Main Street. Some stuff like City Hall Street, where there's gonna be sidewalk potentially, maybe some drainage. And possibly some other items that we may have to tackle with that. So those types of projects would happen in 27. I will have more information likely next month on that. And we'll talk about that. The other thing we're gonna have to be looking at is timing for, public hearings for at least at first, the 24 project, and then probably that 25 project would be shortly after that, so.
So it'll all be done in 2 years?
That's what I'm hoping.
When you mentioned, curb and gutter, is the curb and gutter that you're talking about mainly where drainage is needed then?
So we have a few different types of things that we're looking at. For instance, on Upper Roy, we have a lot of asphalt gutter that we've had Andersons add over the years. And so we're gonna be replacing that with actual concrete gutter now. Some of the areas downtown and maybe in Grandview don't have curb and gutter now, so that would be an addition. There might be some underground pipe that has to go in for that. We haven't, obviously we don't have a design for that yet, so I'm not sure what the details of that are gonna be, but we do think we're gonna be looking at a drainage project there
Yeah,
anyway.
But it's not gonna be massive curb and gutter like it was talked about.
Well, some of it might be, that stuff through Grandview could be a big project.
Well, yeah, I understand that. Is
And,
Grandview gonna be, the following year then in 26?
26 or 27, yeah.
Well,
So,
Tom, the standard, cross-section that we approved last year, that's concrete curb and gutter now, right, for new construction? Is that correct?
so we have two different sections. There's an urban section and there's a rural section.
Mhm.
And so it depends on where you're at. I would consider the area through Grandview to be urban.
Mhm.
We've met with Grandview one time to kind of talk about this a little bit. I think we'll meet with them at least one more time before we decide on that section for sure. It would be certainly my recommendation that it's that
Mhm.
one that does have the curb and gutter. Couple other things we will be looking at in there are, potential for water lines, and then we're also televising sewer lines. And we talked about that last month.
Right.
And the council.
Was that approved?
Mhm.
Okay.
So we'll be doing that televising if we see any issues with the sewer mains. We potentially could be replacing sewer main.
Yeah. Okay.
Otherwise, I'd say that, what else are we looking at? Some other things that have kind of come up with the 25 road bond, especially downtown, is we're looking at a downtown master plan that Bethany is kicking off. And then also she's working on an ADA project too. So those two things will probably factor back into that second bond that we're going to be doing in 26 or 27.
You mentioned a roundabout downtown, where would that be?
So Main Street and City Hall Street and Nisswa Avenue. So that intersection right by the post office there.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's probably a good place for one.
Yeah, so Tim Bray, the county engineer, had an idea for a small roundabout there. And so we've been exploring that idea for a while now. We don't have a plan for it yet as far as, anything on paper, but I think that's the idea we're gonna go with.
Yeah, that's such a weird intersection, the way it is. I think that's a good place for one.
The other thing that affects that is I think some of you might be aware that we're looking at the pickle for either a significant remodel or possibly just a new building altogether. And so where we place that on that lot might have an impact on how that roundabout is designed. too. So there's a lot of moving pieces to that. And so that's part of why we were busting up this bond into two different pieces. A lot of the streets that are on this bond are getting rough enough to where sooner we can get them done, the better.
Yeah.
And, but some, of the, projects such as City Hall Street, there's no way for us to rush through that and get all the details
Right.
ironed out like the roundabout.
So does that have a placeholder right now for the 27 bond, the roundabout? Do you have that on a list as a
Yes.
potential project?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, and that's some of the stuff that Dave's
okay.
beginning to work on for us. I guess I don't want to go into a whole lot more details on the road bond at this time because I don't have any new
Yeah.
information to really give you. I'm just
Yeah.
kind of giving you some general stuff that can to think about, so. The next item on our agenda, this 2024 road project of Sumac Trail and Lendy. I included a timeline in your packet. And so this is something that, we do need to work on soon. Dave's gonna be bringing, a project for us to, you can help me with this a little bit, Dave, to give us a section and then help us with the bidding on that as needed. Right now, those are gravel roads. They're off of 115.
They're down off Nashway, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, can you, where is that? I'm not familiar with
It's south of Hubert.
Yeah, so if you, or Camp Lincoln Road, if you went all the way to the south end of Camp Lincoln
Yeah.
Road, that county road is 115.
This is 115 or this is the road before that?
So these come off of 115. These are two gravel roads that we own off of 115.
Oh,
So if you were to go back on 115 to just about to our line, these are gonna be on your south side.
okay, yeah. Okay. So what is proposed there?
So what we're looking to do is, right now they're gravel. We've had some of the residents that live down there request us to pave it. And so we would still need to get the rest of, input from the rest of the residents that live down there. Right now, we're just putting together some information with Dave as far as scope, how much. We've got a rough estimate from Joe, what it would take to pave them. We are gonna probably either get quotes from Anderson's and Knife River, or if it's a large enough project,
Yeah,
you could help me out, Dave.
so the municipal state bidding law says that if a project is estimated at over 175,000, that it should have at least two bids to be compliant with that statute. We're at an estimate for the project right now, just preliminary estimate of about 170,000. So it's kind of close to that, but I think with working with Tom a little bit more and further defining the scope, we can decide what's the right path to go with that.
Isn't the county gonna be doing some work down on 115 this summer too?
Yeah, and that's
Yeah,
Finish it.
why we were pushing this a little bit.
Yeah.
Ideally, we probably wouldn't be looking at this until 25. There's no rush. Those gravel roads aren't going anywhere. I think for gravel roads, they're in decent shape. We've done some work with them in the past few years. We built, a cul-de-sac at the one end of it, about 3 years ago. So it's relatively good shape, but we have had folks there request paving. With the county doing their paving, if we can get a project put together in time, maybe we can time it with that.
how many
Where's the-
people, go ahead.
Where's the funding coming from for that?
Okay, okay, so every year we budget, about $125,000 for road maintenance. And what that is for patching, crack sealing, generally things that we do, where we hire Anderson Brothers, to come in and do some temporary repairs to roads that we're not really ready to pave yet. Usually comes after a big winter where, you know, the roads have gotten torn up. This winter up until the last couple days, there wasn't any winter damage. So it looks like we're not planning to do any patching this year and probably just limited crack sealing. So we expect we're going to have enough money left over after we do that maintenance to pay for this project, based on Joe DeBell's estimates.
Seems to me the state and the county roads really suffered this winter, even though it wasn't a tough winter. It seems like we have an awful lot of rough roads. And I'm just curious, what this winter, you say it didn't do much to our local roads, huh?
Not that we can't, handle,
Yeah.
so. The patching is a temporary thing, and we're trying to get away from that a little bit. We'd like to be, getting more ahead of it with our resurfacing. So we're not doing as much of the patching. A lot of the patching that we've done in the past is not only weather damage, but because, the city didn't have very good standard when some of these roads were paved to begin with, and there's places where the pavement was maybe an inch thick.
Yeah.
And so we've been doing patches in places when we didn't have enough budget to resurface a whole road. So if we can, we'll be getting away from that somewhat. So doing smaller road projects like this, will help us stay ahead of it. You know, I think we could see more of these happening in the years to come if,
So you think you can pay for this whole thing out of what you,
yeah, I think so. These, it's relatively short gravel roads. There's not a lot of drainage work to be done. The base is in pretty good shape. The biggest question remaining with them is, do the citizens, all of them that live down there, want it? We know a few of them really do. And so once we have good estimates for this project and know how we're gonna address it from a bidding standpoint, we'll be able to approach that with an open house with them to get their final opinion.
Why would they not want it?
I can't think of a good reason.
I mean,
Um,
and because we don't do any assessments, it would just be, like surplus maintenance budget, right? It wouldn't cost them anything.
You never know. Sometimes
Okay.
people like what they got. Bass Lake Road is one,
yeah.
Right.
As a city, our policy, we're trying to move away from the remaining gravel roads.
Mm-hmm.
We've got, what is the mileage of it? I want to say it's like around 2 miles of gravel road left. And,
Most of that's Bass Lake Road.
over half of it is Bass Lake Road.
Yeah.
Where's that at right now, Tom? Is that just kind of on the shelf?
Yeah, for us it is. Where we left that is, we went back to our old maintenance agreement, so we share maintenance with
Right.
City of Lake Shore.
Right.
And so the way that works is they maintain it in the summer and we plow it in the winter. That's the share. That road serves mostly Lake Shore residents, so where we left that is that those folks will have to approach their city council in Lake Shore and request through them that work when they want it. We're not gonna try to initiate that project as the city of Nisswa. There's no reason for us to do that. We're not really serving anybody who's paying taxes in Nisswa.
But you're the ones that get the phone calls, right?
We were, with this whole project, with that whole thing, the way it worked out, we've been directing people back to Lake Shore
Mhm.
because we don't have a taxing authority for them. We can't. And
Right.
largely, they were against that project, hoping that it would, I think, deter development. Maybe once development isn't on the table there, maybe they'll reconsider.
What happened to that subdivision up above where there was a controversy about cutting through that hill down?
Yeah, it's still there. I believe he's coming back to planning commission with some modifications to that plat.
Still working on that?
Well, as far as I know, there's some places that have been built there already, so some of it's there, but there was something with, I think it was lake setbacks. I'd have to have Bethany explain this, why. But I believe that's coming up at the next planning commission meeting. I think it's next Tuesday. And if you're curious about that, that'd be a good place to find out, but,
Yeah.
Hmm.
Cause that was controversial, that cut,
and it still is.
Yeah.
still is.
And so I don't want to confuse the road with that. I think the reason this, from my point of view, and probably largely the city's point of view, that we were approaching the road is trying to save maintenance costs and provide a better route for people to use to get in and out of there, so.
Yeah, that wasn't too popular with some of the neighbors.
Nope. And so
I understand that.
we'll wait for Lakeshore to take the lead on that. If they think it's a project they want to do, we'll cooperate with them as best we can. So the, kind of getting back to the Sumac and Lendee just a little bit, we're working with Seth, to get a spec for the work to be done, during March and April. In April, we'll be bringing back some information from that, for you guys to review and possibly make a recommendation to the city council. We're hoping that by May, the council will be reviewing the project to give approval to go ahead with it and schedule a public hearing, as I was talking about earlier, for the June meeting. Hopefully in June, the council would be able to give their final approval and award the contract. And somewhere between July and October, the two roads could be constructed in coordination with the county's 115 project, if possible.
Maybe, Tom, this is a question as to your process, but you must have a pretty good idea that the people down there will want that. Not like you're gonna put a lot of time and effort into it and they come back and say, no, we don't think we want this.
I would believe they want it. Like I said, I think the only reason Bass Lake was so controversial was the development. I think they saw that as a roadblock to.
No, I mean this Lendee and Sumac.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm thinking there won't be a lot of opposition to it, but I
Okay.
can't say that for sure without having the hearing.
Okay,
Yeah, it's hard to believe.
I don't,
So I think that'll be a goal. And if it isn't, we'll, what the city can do is, we can put that money into an investment and we can look at some of the other roads on the bond, move those up. We have a few other roads that, don't require a whole lot of, work to be done other than milling and repaving, that are short and small, that would be easy for us to do. Chances are, if these folks don't want it, that project wouldn't happen until 2025 and it would end up getting blended into
mhm.
that project then, so.
I know a potential project that could use the money. Paul Bunyan Trail.
That's a DNR facility.
I know that.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about the trail.
Well, it's got lots of bad joints. And it needs work.
I guess what we can do, well, this is also gonna involve Amber, cause she's the trail coordinator for the city.
Yeah.
So it's possible we could get Amber to come in and maybe get the DNR to come in to talk about the condition of the Paul Bunyan. See if there's anything they can do about it. Or will be doing it or willing to do about it.
But I'll be happy to put in my 2 cents worth if the time comes.
Yeah, and I personally, I don't know who is ahead of that right now with the DNR. It used to be Wade Miller. Now,
Yeah, Wade has been replaced by a gal, can't think of her name.
yeah,
She actually has done more work in the last year as far as mowing and so forth than Wade did in the whole time he was in there.
okay. Okay,
What is her name? Yeah. I have wanted to stop and meet her, but I haven't. She did a incredible job, you know. But they don't have any money, you know, for anything but bare maintenance.
Yeah.
I know it's terrible. Anyway, I could start, thought I'd feel that.
I would love to help if I could. Moving on with our own, so there's really nothing for us to decide at this time. Just be aware that in April, we'll probably be coming back with something more concrete on this, where we'd be looking for you guys to render an opinion on it, and a recommendation to the city council. The next item I have is, to consider a streetlight addition at Lower Roy Lake Road and Aspirin Drive. Now, this was a request from a citizen living in the area. He stopped into my office about 3-4 weeks ago.
Where is that? Where is that?
So I'll explain. So if you come off of 77 and you're heading up Lower Roy Lake Road, it's the next intersection. It's where you come out of the golf course.
Okay,
It's the
down
street
to,
across from that.
yeah, down to where the,
So those two meet right there. And so what this gentleman was concerned about is with the additional traffic coming out of the golf course, because they're no longer allowed to just come out onto 77. They funnel them back onto Lower Roy Lake Road to get out. And so he feels that with the added traffic there, that it makes sense to have a light there. I don't disagree with that. So that's why I brought it to this committee to see if you agreed, and we could make a recommendation to the city council to add a street light there if it makes sense.
is that on the exit from the pines you're talking about?
Yes, yep.
Yeah, I definitely need something.
So currently, at the intersection of Lower Roy Lake Road and 77, there's a street light there. And I want to say that this intersection would be maybe from here to the A&W away from there. So it's not affected by that street light, but it would be helpful to have one there if people are coming and going. I do believe Grandview has plans to put more signs there to help direct people in and out of there. So I think having light there makes some sense. I had hoped I would have a estimate to install this for Minnesota Power for you guys to consider this tonight. Currently, the monthly charge we pay for every streetlight is about $25. So adding this one would add another $25 to the city's expenses every month. I hope to soon have the cost to install that. We can either do one of two things. We can table this until I get that cost back for construction. I don't think it would be a huge amount. It's the cost of the pole and the light and then their installation.
You have a budget for that?
Not specific, but I do have a budget I can pull it out of. It would come out of our maintenance fund.
Is that something that we could ask Grandview to fund the installation? We'll pay for the operation going forward.
We can certainly approach them for it. I mean, like I said, this is why this light's being considered is traffic that they're generating.
Well, it's a
from the golf
safety
course.
issue, right?
It is,
Well, there's a lot of traffic coming out. That's the only way they can get out of the pines now.
yeah, yeah. So, I have not approached Grandview to see anything about a cost share on this. If you would like me to do that, I can check on that and we can bring this item back.
I think that's a good idea, Galen. I would move that we, direct you to check with them.
Yeah, and hopefully I can have,
Fair cost.
cost by then too. I had contacted Minnesota Power about a week and a half or 2 weeks ago, hoping to have something by tonight. I just don't have it yet, so.
West Pines actually leaves the other direction, to the west, at that same junction. If we're talking about the same one. The West Pine subdivision is,
Oh, yeah.
that leaves going west at that same intersection.
Mhm.
So and with the trail there now, it's going to be getting more and more busy, I would guess, as time goes on.
Yeah, I would think so. I don't want to start adding streetlights the whole way of Lower Roy Lake Road, but I think here with the golf course coming and going, I think that makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of traffic. There's a lot of resort traffic coming and going too from rentals there. And I've seen them struggle from time to time trying to find their way around if they're coming in at night, so.
Yeah, they need to improve their signage down there a little bit.
Yeah, I think it
Yeah.
wouldn't hurt, yeah.
Well, another possibility, not to do the whole thing, but another intersection is just north of there where it goes into Norway Lake, where the Grandview has all their other part of their resort.
Mm-hmm.
That's also where the trail crosses from one side to the other side. And there's also a road that goes into that subdivision they put in, or I call it a subdivision, that circular one that Grandview put in a couple years ago.
Yeah, North Pine.
That's a busy place also.
Yeah,
That could use a light. And there's also golf crossing there.
if you guys would like to consider more than just this one light, I could, add to the list before we come back to it if you want. Or do you want to leave it with this one and add, and then maybe look at those as a separate deal?
I'd like to see it included myself.
You what?
I would like to see it included in
Okay,
this process. Just those two.
okay.
I think it's probably almost as busy there as it is going out of the pine.
It might be, like I said, I was responding to a request from a citizen with this one, so.
I would think Grandview would consider helping. They should.
Yeah, they might. I'll contact them and see what they say.
Good.
All right, with that, I guess we don't really have an action to take on that. We'll just table that until I can come back with that information. Do any of you three have any comments or questions, reports, anything?
I got a question. I didn't follow the results of the last meeting about the recycling site. Did you get a decision on that?
Yes, the city council decided to close that effective May 1.
Okay.
So is the sign up?
I am having signs printed.
Oh.
It'll take probably a week or two for me to get that, and as soon as I do, they'll go up.
So it'll be,
I've contacted the hauler and let them know. So everything that's there, the oil recycling, the aluminum cans for the lines, all of it will be removed from the site.
Hmm.
We've been instructed to remove the fence and the concrete and everything as soon as possible.
you have anything else on that?
So-
I had thought at one point that there was a possibility of September 1st.
So I had,
Yeah.
that was what I had suggested in my memo to the city
Yeah.
council. And they wanted to be more aggressive and close it down sooner. I had September 30th, I was gonna run it through the summer. They didn't see any penalty to closing it now. They largely feel that it's, serving mostly out of town residents. And they wanted to have it closed. I would direct anybody really interested in that to check out on YouTube that city council meeting. That way you can get the flavor and exactly what they said. I hate to paraphrase and put words into their mouth, but three of them wanted to close it right away for sure, and there was one who would have liked to have waited, and in the end, they all pretty much agreed, and it became what they decided, so. They
Okay.
did leave it open, if a group were to ever come back and have a plan for moving it and a way to pay for it, that they would consider it. But right now, it was largely a funding decision. You know, we're losing the county funding as far as operating it. The county was not gonna participate in building a new one.
Mhm.
And they felt that they couldn't justify the expense for a new site, so.
So no discussion on an alternate site like out by the wastewater treatment plant. That's kind of off out of the discussion phase now,
Right, that was the decision, that was the choice that they had, that they were gonna make, is we're either relocating it to that site
huh? Mm-hmm.
or closing it. And being they lost the support to the county, they just didn't wanna go it alone. And I think if it were to come up again, that location would be probably top of the list as far as a recommendation. This site will never be it again, so.
What about that potential site for the other things? Is that still in the works? At the plant, at the treatment plant?
So originally we were looking at a shooting range for the police. They've made other arrangements, so they're no longer interested in doing that. Impound laws have changed, so we don't need as large of an impound lot anymore, so that largely went away. We're still accepting brush and leaves out there. Our calendar on that is May 1st through, I think it's October 30th. It's on the sign out there. That's gonna remain that way for the foreseeable future, I guess, as long as it doesn't get abused. So
So that's it.
that's all there's gonna be.
Wasn't there gonna be a shooting range out there and so on?
Yeah, the police decided that they had other ideas for that,
Uh-huh.
so they're moving
So
away.
there's
They
nothing-
moved away from that.
On another subject, what's the status of the post office and the liquor store at Schaefer?
I'm not sure about the post office. I think that's still in the works, and I believe Schaefer's is also still, the possibility of Schaefer's expanding the liquor store is still being negotiated.
Oh, so it's not finalized or anything?
Not yet, not that I know of. I'd recommend maybe either talking to Brian at Spirits or Jenny.
Okay. Yeah, I wonder, I hadn't heard anything lately.
Yeah, they talked about it at the council meeting. That would also be on that video, so you could hear what was said, but.
Well, I have one other small item, and maybe I just missed the meeting, but what is the status of the subdivision down here on the bypass that they did the
Oh, off of
earthworks?
18?
Yeah,
As far as I know, they're gonna be constructing roads as soon as the weather allows, and it's a go, so I mean, it's all there.
we looked at that, at this, at this group. And that's the last I heard of it. I thought it was not gonna happen. Now, what happened after that?
I guess that I don't know. That largely was decided in the planning commission and sent to the city council for final approval, but as far as I know, I mean, they wouldn't have started construction if it wasn't a go, so.
So they're building what they proposed to us
Mhm.
with those small units?
Well,
Really?
they're regular homes, but they're
Yeah.
close together, yeah.
I think the issues were paying for, cost sharing for those backage roads, right? Or the backage road.
Oh, no, this is.
Are
this
we
is right
talking
off
about
of
something else?
Yeah, the backage roads are down by Schaefer's. This is right off of 18.
Oh, okay.
Are they
Okay.
going to connect to that street? I forget what it's called, that's off.
Pine Haven.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
okay.
connected.
So is the city gonna have to improve that?
Pine Haven.
Yeah.
Right now, we don't have plans to do that. The contractor that's developing this new development, where they tie in, they're going to do any repairs to anything that's damaged. I guess once the construction starts, and if we see significant damage, we'll probably try to do something to repair that road.
But they are gonna tie into it?
Yes.
They probably need that for fire, I would guess.
Yeah, that gives them the in and the out.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know.
And those are
who's doing
city
it, but it-
maintained streets too, so that adds to our miles, so the city maintains, so.
so far, whatever they're doing looks good.
Yeah, I think it's it's development, I realize that for a lot of folks who are already here, that they don't want that, but I think it's a quality development, so.
Just wondered, because I thought that it was kaput. And, after it left here,
Yeah,
then
no, it passed, and to the best of my knowledge, the construction will be underway as soon as the weather allows.
Yeah.
Has there been anything else on that, development by Schaefer's?
I haven't heard anything more, on Schaefer's development.
Mhm.
There's more rumors of things that might happen with the Mills property on the other side.
Mhm.
Nothing concrete, nothing that I can really talk about.
what is this drawing we have? Oh, this is on Sumne, okay.
Yeah, so this is just to give you a profile for what that road will look like once it's paved. And so that will be the residential top, I highlighted the residential top section, so you'd be able to see what the widths and everything will be. Galen, you have anything?
Nope, I'm good.
Anything else, guys?
I'm good.
All right, Dave, you have anything at all?
Nothing more.
Okay. With that, our next meeting will be at its regularly scheduled time on April 24th at 5 PM. There's a copy of my report to the council for their last meeting, if you will care to look at that. Other than that, I think that's it. I would look for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second? All in favor?
I'm.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you, guys.